Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Welcome back to the next episode of Carolina Morace's small analysis, also capsules, of the Italian Serie A. Using match analysis from Michele Tossani, she has created a presentation on Bologna, coached by Sinisa Mihajlovic. I'm Nicola Williams as assistant coach and translating the information into English for us all to take part. Once again, we hope you like it. Once again, here's the table of Serie A during this COVID break. After 26 games, Bologna sits in the middle on 10th position. Bologna mostly play as a 4-2-3-1, as you can see in the photo, and it's necessary here to remind you of some of the advantages and disadvantages of the system. The advantages of 4-2-3-1 is that there's a possibility to use the attacking external players wide, and also the presence of the attacking midfielder, the number 10, that's useful to get in between the lines of the opponent's midfield and defence. As players move and stagger their position, it also makes it possible to create many triangles and rhombos of support that are important in both phases of the game. The disadvantages of the system are that in order to start the game from the back, it's not easy to find a numerical advantage, and often it's necessary for one of the two midfielders to have to drop deep to find space and start the game from the back. In non-ball possession, it's also very hard to cover the space in front of the fullbacks. In the analysis of the match against Lazio at Olympic Stadium in Rome, the first half finished 2-0 for Lazio. The problems for Bologna were above all created by the pressure of their two fifth players. I remind you that the fifth players are the most external players in the 3-5-2 system. The fullbacks of Bologna have to decide whether to attack the fifth player or to stay and help their centre-backs in the middle to create numerical advantage, as you can see in the slide. In this position is dangerous because it's 2v2 in the middle in front of the box. We can see here also that Bologna had difficulty in stopping Lazio's build-up of the game. Here's Patrick, where Barrow attacks him, trying to cover the pass wide to Lazzari at the top of the screen. Palacio is ready to attack Luis Felipe, while Orsolini goes into the centre position, leaving Radu on the right to create a density of players in the centre zone. As we look at what happens, Milinkovic-Savic goes towards the ball and Sutton follows him. Therefore, circled in red, we can see Lazzari that's free to receive the ball as Barrow is unable to cut the pass to him. Lazzari is then free to receive the ball, and rule number 1 in ball possession is that if you've got space in front of you, carry the ball as fast as possible to gain metres, and that is exactly what he's doing, putting Bologna in difficulty. So being 2-0 down at half-time, how will Mihajlovic react? Well, after 10 minutes into the second half, he changed the system and he changed his team to a 3-4-2-1 with a position very fluid of the three forwards that often become also an attacking midfielder and two forwards. So here we can have a look at how he changed the team and which solutions he found. The three defenders at the back to create numerical advantage against the Lazio's two forwards, and the two lateral midfielders that are in charge against the two external fifth players of Lazio. In the ultra-offensive pressing now, we can see that Barrow is against the central midfielder, Leva, of Lazio, and Santander against Luis Felipe, and Palacio against Radu, which is now called the braccetto in Italian, which is a little arm, the player to the left or right of the central defender when you play in three. In this screenshot, we can see the development of the action. Skov Olsen, the fourth lateral midfielder on the right, attacks Johnny, who is the fifth on the left for Lazio. In the first half, this player was free. In changing the system in the second half, Bologna is higher in the field, and as a result, Lazio's expected goals reduced from 0.72 in the first half to 0.29 in the second half. So with this movement, the offensive phase of Lazio significantly reduced. Reminder that the expected goals refers to the probability to score from each shot, based on statistic data, e.g. the position of the shot, what type of assist arrives, and is the quality and quantity of the chance created and not based on luck. Also, the intensity of the pressing expressed by the PPDA, which is passes per defensive action, was 10.4 in the first half and 7.7 in the second half. So it means that the intensity of the pressing was higher in the second half. This was due to the change of system and organisation that allowed Bologna to be closer to the fifth player. I remind you that the PPDA is the relationship in between the passes of the opponent, which is Lazio, in the first 60 metres of their field, and the defensive intervention made by Bologna in the same portion of the field. In the image, the pressing action by Danilo, who follows Correa, pulling him out of his defensive zone, and Denswell that goes to attack Immobile with his shoulders to the net. Here is a clip of the back three that run back to defend the goal, giving time for the midfield to come back into position. When they do attack the lateral ball, they set up as an L, with Denswell that attacks the ball and the other two that cover in the same line. Despite changing the formation to 3 at the back in the second half, that didn't change the way that Bologna built up the game. Also in the first half, even if they were 4 at the back, they built the game with 3 defenders, and one of the most common ways to build up the game was with Barney, who is in ball possession, Orsolini who cuts into the middle, and Palacio that attacks deep. We can see also more clearly here when the goalkeeper has the ball. It's a clear position of the 3 defenders against the 2 Lazio forwards. Bologna set up like this because they were in numerical advantage, as we can see, and they're able to play in a more efficient way. With a final look at the match analysis, Andrea Polli stood out as a player of interest and one of the most positive players. This is the difference of the centre midfielder's performance in the first half and the second half. The football actions made were 25 in 39, whereas in the second half, 32 in 39. His successful passes were 17 in 18 in the first half, but 28 in 31 for the second half, so he was much more involved in the game. The match finished 2-0 for Lazio, so the changes made by Bologna helped them improve their performance in the second half. Thank you for listening, and the next episode is Sassuolo of coach De Zerbi.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.